Bro, I'm in love with this shaman. This shaman is fan-fucking-tastic, dude. Holy shit. Like, I'm going against evasive monsters, and the setup just has no problem with it. Even the armor explosion is hitting. What's going on, guys? Metsuka here. Welcome back to the channel. And today we have a shaman werewolf build for you guys. I have been having an amazing amount of fun on the shaman. It has been absolutely incredible. And I'm going to share what I have learned about the shaman, how I've built my shaman, and why it is just absolutely amazing there. So as I was playing through my Oracle playthrough, there were so many people that would come into my stream and they would say, you know, that they're struggling with their shaman sucks. And there were so many people coming into the chat and they were saying how, you know, just change the Oracle, the shaman's bad, you know. So basically, you know, so I decided to do a 0 to hero on my YouTube with the shaman to see what I could do with the shaman, and it turned out better than I could have imagined. It's absolutely amazing. So let's just get right into it, guys. So I first of all, I do have a max roll updated. Is so if you do want to go to the max roll, you know, the link is in the description of the video. There's links to the POB and to the YouTube where I am going through all of the motions of building the shaman. But I gotta tell you, this shaman is amazing. Okay, so I have actually 3 different versions of this build for you guys. I will share with you the 3 different versions, starting with the first and then going into more of an inspirational build, okay? So starting with the shaman. So this is the level 95, the most basic version of the shaman. Um, and we will explain what we have, why we have it, where we have it, and everything. As you can see, the DPS is very high. It's actually quite higher than my Oracle DPS. There are reasons for that. Now, going into the Ascendancy, we have gone with the bonded modifiers for runes and idols. We have gone up the Rage tree for Furious Wellspring. And we have taken reactive growth for the defenses. Now, why have we done all of this, right? Well, the thing about the shaman is if you look at the skill tree and you look at all the options that it has available, there really isn't any attack-based, really like offensive capabilities. That like it does have this, but this is not a significant amount of DPS to make a build around. Like, we're not going to build around exposure and 10% damage as an extra element. This is like just like a regular node, right? Like, I think you can get this yeah, that's like basically almost the same thing here. Is this is 5%, but you get 10% increased damage on that and main stat. You know, this just gives you exposure. So this really isn't good enough to build around. However, what the shaman has and what the oracle does not have is druidic champion. And what this states is every 2 rage also grants 1% more spell damage, right? Um, Now, how can we make that into a werewolf build? Well, the cool thing is there's this unique called the Crown of Eyes. And what the Crown of Eyes says is, let's see, let's pull it up here, is increases and reductions to spell damage also apply to attacks, right? So all of our spell damage is getting converted to attack damage, essentially, right? Now, with this in the tree and with rage stacking, right? Now in the Druidic champion, this specific node itself, you notice we take these two abilities off, which give max rage. It lowers the DPS. When we take this node off, it does nothing. So POB is not actually calculating the 1% more spell damage in the equation here. So I went ahead and did the math. And it's going to be around a 97% increased attack damage if I did my calculations correctly. Okay. You guys are more than welcome to correct me if it's incorrect. However, this is more is a multiplicative off of your increased and all your other stats. Now, how do we push this even further, though, right? Like, this isn't that much, surely. Well, we also have Mystical Rage, which every rage grants 2% increased spell damage, right? So at 76 rage over here, times that by 2, we're sitting at about 152% spell damage. It's 152% attack damage, right? It's a massive multiplier. You can see that this one node is giving me 2.5 million DPS. So we have this and we have this. So we are able to convert that into attack damage. The cool thing too is when you're pathing with the shaman, you're able to double dip. So these first couple of nodes, usually not a big deal because a standard character is going to take advantage of the spell or the attack damage. In the shaman's case, we are taking advantage of both the spell and the attack damage. So each one of these nodes is giving me a pretty chunky. As you can see, this one node is giving me 212,000 DPS, right? So we are taking advantage of the spell and the attack damage here. So we are pathing through this way, unlike the Oracle where we took the tankiness. Okay, and then we went ahead and pathed very similar to the Oracle in the middle here. And then, but we didn't go down the middle. We went down this way. We grabbed the regen here, and the reason for that is we do need regen. Why? Why do we need regen? Because of Berserk. Berserk, you lose max life per rage. Well, we have a lot of rage, right? So if we disable this, you can see my DPS goes down to 7.2, right? From um, 10.3. So this is about a 3 mil, DPS increase here. So that's why we have a source of regen in the build, and we don't have to travel away from, there's no like traveling to get to anything. It's right here. This is fine. We also have regen on our Grand Regalia, so we are able to sustain the Berserk. Then we spec into crit, and we came over here and we have all of this AoE here. The reason why we went down this left side instead of the attack area damage is because we are pathing down this way, and I could have gone from here to here. Instead, we just went from, instead of going from this node, we were going to go this way anyway. Well, instead, we just took this node and then went here, right? So boom, 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 instead of boom, boom, right? So this is a dead stat. We at least get area of effect for attacks. And then we took, this area damage and then this area of effect. Also, we went ahead and spec'd down this way, grab this rage. Talisman 2, very similar, almost identical to my Oracle build, grabbing minimum power for rage buildup, empowering attacks for stronger attacks, and then just grabbing this extra 4 here for increased damage that the Warcry does itself. And then moving along here, we have a Heart of the Well Diamond. This is a triple damage with cooldown. So this one's giving me about 1.2 DPS mil. And then speccing into here, we went with Area of Effect and then grabbed these 2 melee nodes. And then we moved up this way and grabbed these 4 nodes because now this is probably the weakest DPS section here. This could be removed and replaced, but I'm taking it for the skill speed and the crit chance. Since the Shaman, it needs crit chance because we don't have inevitable crits. And the skill speed is really nice for attack speed and Warcry speed. And then moving up here, we grabbed these defensive nodes and the increases to recharge rate. We're not running Zealot's Oath, so we are using Energy Shield Recharge. And then moving up here, grabbing the damage, grabbing the armor, and then swinging down into this section here. We path through here. Since we are the Shaman, we don't have inevitable crits. This gives bonus damage if you haven't dealt a crit recently. So, being that we are relying solely on our crit chance, we will not be critting every single time. So, we will be taking advantage of these nodes. It is a massive multiplier. You can see that this is 1.5 million DPS specking through this way. And then coming over here to the From Nothing Diamond, which allocates Chaos Inoculation. And grabbing the tankiness here, we are grabbing all this crit chance, and Talisman 2 has critical weakness, which is improving our crit chance against enemies. And then moving over to the Chaos Inoculation node, we have crit damage, physical damage. We have chaos, extra chaos damage. And we have the heavy frost and then ice. Okay. And for our anoint, we took mystical rage instead of heavy frost because we can allocate it. Mystical rage, the reason why we anointed it is because we have to path through here to get it, and having to path through here is 1, 2, 3, 4 nothing burger nodes. So you're getting nothing from pathing through here. So we decided to anoint and spec into over here. Okay. Now moving down this way. Now we went ahead and path this way, grabbing the armor applies to elemental damage. And we went this way because it's lightning, and lightning seems to be the one that hurts the most. Okay, and then we path down this way. Why did we path down here, right? Well, it's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we were to path this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's the same distance. However, this whole section here is pretty mid. There's nothing really in here we want to take. There is this. It's not that big of a source of DPS, and we're not taking advantage of the runic helm because our helmet is the Crown of Eyes, and it is an energy shield helmet. So we cannot take advantage of this. We're not using Arcane Surge. We could spec into these nodes up here, right? These are actually pretty good all here. However, this is pretty much the only section that offers anything to us over here. So we ended up speccing down this way and going to 5. And then what we were able to do is just spec into this one node here and grab all this crit chance, crit damage, right? Overwhelming strike. And we were also able to come down here, grab all this attack damage, right? All this magnitude of ailments, and this node specifically gives massive 62% attack damage with a crit damage bonus coming from the Time Lost Sapphire. So every notable is giving increased amount of crit damage bonus. The notables are also giving increased effect of the notable itself. And then every small notable is giving max energy shield. So we are just really just racking up the bonuses here in this section. And then we just path 1 and 2. The reason is we were able to get the bonuses like max energy shield and the crit damage bonus, but this gives us some stun threshold and some ailment threshold, which I find to be useful to have at least a little bit of this in the tree we spec here. The better option, technically, would be to spec here and here if you wanted to get more ailment threshold and stun threshold. This would give you more of that. You just would not take the benefit of the 3% energy shield and the 12% crit damage bonus. So either one you can pick and it works just fine. But that's the skill tree, guys. That is where we have path, and that is why we have path in these directions. Going over the skills. So if we look at the skills here, we have Shred, Rapid Attacks, Execute, Close Combat, Elemental Armament, Hurricane's Resolve. We have Berserk, just Berserk. We have Arctic Howl with Ice Bite, providing big damage when we freeze. Echoing Cry, so it pulses. And Tireless, we get more empowered attacks. Cold Exposure, so we reduce the resistances when we crit with Arctic Howl. And Raging Cry, this gives us rage. And then Overwhelming Presence, we are running Vitality for regen because of Berserk. We're running Overwhelming Presence because it reduces the ailment threshold of the enemies. And so if you'll notice, if you're running maps, like, you're starting to run like T15s and T16s, right? So you'll see things like this map right here. You'll get this right here. Monsters have increased ailment threshold, right? Well, the thing about this is ailment threshold works different than, like this one says, increased monster resistances. Ailment threshold works different. It's a different modifier. So having the having the ability to reduce their ailment threshold increases the chances that we are going to inflict ailments such as freeze, right, and shock and all that stuff, chill. So that's why we run this, is because yes, we are able to lower their resistances. However, overwhelming presence lowers that ailment threshold, making those maps with that modifier more tolerable. It also reduces the stun threshold of enemies, which synergizes well because things like impact area gives us increased area effect if you have stunned an enemy recently. So it just helps us stun, and as a melee build, we stun inherently. Okay, so Pounce, we've got Fist of War, Freezing Mark, Charged Mark, Cooldown Recovery, Mark of Siphoning. We are using mana, so this does help. I do not have a source of leech on the build at all, so we have it here on Pounce. Lunar Blessing, we've got Cooldown, Prolonged Duration, Elemental Armament, Cold Mastery, Magnified Area. We've got Mana Remnants with Clarity 2 for mana regeneration, Harmonic Remnants, Um, this just helps the remnants be collected from further away, so you're just grabbing them all the time. And then remnant potency, this just makes the effect of the remnants stronger. And then this will keep your mana in check. Herald of Ice, we've got Magnified Area, Elemental Armament, Uric Smelting, Armor Break 3, Armor Explosion. This gives the big screen-wide explosions. Lunar Assault, we got Batir's Vengeance, Rakiata's Flow, Freeze, Ancestral Call, and Brittle Armor. I do run Freeze and Ancestral Call because Lunar Assault, it's an applicator. You want it to apply the freeze. As soon as it applies the freeze, Heavy Frost takes over and does all sorts of damage. Cross Slash, we've got Execute, Elemental Armament, Biting Frost, Rage Forge, and Falling Strike. Now, as far as the items go, we can go into the game here. So we have the Crown of Eyes. This is very cheap. I think like one divine or less, maybe some exalts on the market. I ended up getting a triple socketed, which I twice corrupted and then landed 26 spirit. The reason why I wanted triple socket and all these sockets is because we are running the bonded modifiers. Okay, so in the Crown of Eyes, what's nice about this is, yes, it reduces fire res. However, we do get all attributes, which is really great for this build. We've got accuracy, which is nice because of evasive monsters. You'll see them in maps all the time. If you are running T15, T16 maps, let's see. Monsters are evasive, so accuracy does help with that. And then, of course, increases and reductions of spell damage apply to attacks. Now, in the sockets, we have 2% increased experience gain. Bonded, we get 10% to all elemental resistances. So this 10 fire is negated, plus we get 10 to all of our resistances. Okay, we've stuck a mana regeneration rate here for the moment until I can fix my mana regeneration. I currently in the build right now do not run Mana Remnants. I am trying to run Ferocious Roar. That is a different variation of the build I will get into in a minute. What you can run instead of Mana Regen here is a great couple of things. So if we go to Helmet, we can run, let's see, where is it? This one here. This one will give an increased exposure effect and increased magnitude of non-damaging elements. This will give you a damage multiplier to things like shock. So this would be actually ideal to run. You can also run additional cold damage if you want in the helmet. There is also another option. I forget which one it is. It's skill effect, duration, and cooldown. But we did this just for now, and then we are also running +4 to max rage. Now we have a Grand Regalia. This is a armor, evasion, energy shield, life regen, global defenses, and spirit. Now, in the sockets we have the Fox Idol. This gives 2% quality to all of my skills, and the bonded gives +4 to all attributes. I actually needed to use this to satisfy the extreme cost of so many different abilities like Berserk, which takes 152 strength, and Mana Remnants, which takes like some insane number as well. Let's see, where is it? Mana Remnants, 147 int. So those extra attributes really help. Over here, we have the Rune of the Willpower. This is 15% of damage is taken from mana before life. The Bonded gives 8% of max life converted to energy shield. So a great bonded here and here. Moving over here, we have reduced effective curses. The bonded is, we don't use curses, so it doesn't matter. We have the Rune of Recovery, which gives us energy shield recharge rate, and the bonded gives faster start, which is fantastic. And then we have Tekrad's Gaze to ensure we can sustain Berserk, because Berserk will drain your health like crazy. So you will need regen. But it's crazy just to see like all of these modifiers from the bonded, and very cool. Moving over to the boots. So these are armor energy shield boots with movement speed. We have a movement speed gem, which is giving us a bonded modifier of 10% cooldown recovery rate. We do have a headhunter, and in the gloves we have flat damage with a whole bunch of resistances. Now, the reasons why we have this is because the Crown of Eyes, Grand Regalia, and Headhunter, they don't really provide resistances, so we have to put them on mainly on the boots and the gloves and the jewelry. Okay, so for now, this is how we're doing it. In the socket, we have increased attack speed with the bonded, giving reduced slowing potency of debuffs on you. A very, very nice bonded. So we are really taking advantage of these bonded modifiers all over the place. Really, really cool. We're not done. There's more. And then for the ring, we have recover max mana on kill with res and damage. We've got mana regen with max mana with some damage attributes and resistances. And in the amulet, we have anointed mystical rage, which is giving us spell damage. We also have increased spell damage, which is giving us attack damage. And we have max life spirit int, chaos res, and +1 to level of all skills. I do prefer this over the +3 to melee, simply because it gives things like overwhelming presence another level, berserk another level, ferocious roar. It gives herald of ice, arctic howl. It provides a buff to literally every skill, right? So really do like that over melee. Moving over to the weapon. So this is a elemental style weapon with T1 fire, T2 cold, with gain extra damages physical. This is a Magi with max rage, and we do have T1 crit chance, T2 attack speed, and 5 levels to all attack skills. And in the sockets, we have the Rune of Agony, which has given us gain extra damage as chaos. And in the bonded, it's given us gain extra damage as physical. Okay, so really, really nice rune here with the bonded. And then over here, we've got Rune of the Hunt giving increased attack damage against rare and uniques. And the bonded is giving +1 level to all attack skills. So really taking advantage of the bonded modifiers. They're giving us so much utility and so many stats all over the place. It is really cool. I hope they continue to make changes and buffs and give us more options on the bonded modifiers. And then the second talisman here, this is just a it's a similar talisman to what I'm wearing. It just has some leech with mana, chance to gain onslaught. So if I do kill with, let's say, ferocious roar or I'm sorry, not for Arctic howl, we will gain onslaught. But this is just to help gain some leech, while we're using Arctic howl in our weapon set too. And then we do have the Gargantuan's Laviana spirits. This just applies mana all the time, so you don't actually have to push anything. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much the build, the first build that we have for you. Okay, so that is the most standard version of the build, okay? Now, if we go into, I have two other versions of the build, all right? We'll pull those up, and I will have links to these POBs in the description. Now, starting with this version, this is the version that I am currently running. It is almost identical to the version that I just gave to you guys. There is a small difference. The tree is the same. I do have a couple of extra points because I am level 97, not level 95. And what I have done, instead of speccing into these two down here, we have specced into these two up here. And we have also specced here, giving us mana recovery. And one node somewhere else. Don't know where that node is, but maybe we'll find it. But yeah, the reason why we spec'd into mana cost efficiency is because in this version of the build, we are not running mana remnants, so we don't have a very good source of mana. So mana remnants really makes the mana situation quite amazing. But in this build, instead of mana remnants, we are going to use ferocious roar. And so the reason why we would use this in place of mana remnants, right? So basically in the shaman skill tree, Furious Wellspring, it regenerates rage based off of the increases and reductions to your mana regeneration rate, right? However, your skills have a +5 to rage cost. So when we're using abilities, you can see that rage and mana is being used, right? So the reason why you can run this multiple different ways is because with mana remnants, you can just run a mana regen build and your mana will be sustained, your rage will be sustained quite nice. The only issue you'll run into is with, so like you'll have to pop Arctic Howl and then Lunar Blessing, because what ends up happening, right, is when you pop Lunar Blessing, it it takes all of your rage, right? Like you pop this, all of your rage is gone, right? So this is being forced into your mana regen and your Arctic Howl, giving you rage back. What I like to do with Ferocious Roar is, the thing about Ferocious Roar is it it gives you these amazing amounts of powered attacks, but it also gives you your empowered attacks break armor. So all of your empowered attacks are breaking armor. You're getting more empowered attacks. You're getting a whole lot of rage. You're able to consume broken armor and create like these explosions on the outer rim, which are sometimes good, sometimes not. And then you're able to apply corrupting blood to everything, which is really not that big of a deal. However, it it also gives you another war cry, right? So with this here, you're gaining increased damage for each time you have war cried. So this just gives us another war cry. But what we're able to do is we are able to um, go ahead and pop Ferocious Roar, then Lunar Blessing, right? So we'll go Ferocious Roar, Lunar Blessing, boom, our rage is instantly back, right? So, and we also have a whole lot of empowered attacks. That's why I do like running this. It is just harder to sustain your mana. Okay. So the cool thing though is since we're not running mana remnants, we are able to run mysticism, right? So in place, this does cost 30 spirit. However, this gives us a buff of dealing 40% increased spell damage while on full energy shield. We are on full energy shield a lot, and 40% increased spell damage is also 40% increased attack damage for us. So this is a damage buff. That is why we tried to remove mana remnants so we could use this. I would rather have overwhelming presence over mana remnants simply because there is no other way to lower element threshold in the game besides this. So we like having this against certain modifiers. Um, I would love to be able to fit all of it in, but we couldn't fit it all in. So this is the current version of the build. It's the same. We just replace Mana Remnants for Ferocious Roar and then put Mysticism in Berserk. We are able to run a Clarity 1 here and a Clarity 2 here. So we do have some mana regeneration. Okay. It's just not the best. However, it is a stronger version of the build. So as you can see, that this version of the build is a higher DPS version of the build. Okay. So that is why we are running this, is because it is stronger. However, it is a little bit more difficult to manage. Okay. Now, moving into the inspirational version. So this is going to be the version that is the most damage, and it is going to be the one that I will be moving closer into level 100. Um, Now, what we're going to do with this build is we will be specking out of this section here, removing all of this armor, be removing this damage and this armor. We'll be removing all of this here and removing these two nodes here. And then what we'll be doing is we will spec into what we'll be doing, right? Why remove all this? Well, what we'll do is we'll take from here and we will spec down this way and we will grab a fourth jewel, and this will be a megalomaniac. Now, this is an inspirational build because you will need a megalomaniac or you will need a jewel of some sort that will be worth pathing down this way to grab. Why path down this way anyway, right? Well, the megalomaniac itself is good, so you are able to get a fourth jewel socket. However, right next to this jewel spot is 2, 2, 2, 8. So we have 14 rage right here, right? So this is a huge amount of rage, and it is giving us 90 rage. So this is a massive damage multiplier. You can see this gives us 1.7 million DPS. Just these 4 nodes right here. Okay. So the the pathing to this will be worth specking out of this DPS wise. However, we have to make up for the tankiness we lose here and here. So since we have 90 rage, we will be able to take 5 of those points, put it over here. This will lower our energy shield. However, it will increase our physical damage reduction considerably because it gives us a lot of armor. So we will have higher amounts of physical damage reduction. Also, to help combat the loss of the reduction of defenses here, we have these 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes here where we get Additional armor applies to elemental damage and faster start of energy shield. So we are able to maintain a decent effective hit pool by placing points here, placing points here, building off that fury that we have obtained down here. Also, what we are able to do instead of having to path into these additional 3 attacks here and these 3 nodes here, we take the additional points and we path down here for the second talisman. As you notice, this gives 20% increased damage for each different war cry you've used recently. So now we've spec'd into 3 different war cries, right? With Ferocious Roar, Arctic Howl, and Lunar Blessing. So this is a 60% increase damage. Not only are we able to use this, we are also able to use this. So we are going to get 24 increased damage for this for each Warcry we've used, 60% here, giving us 84% increased damage when we are using the Warcries, all 3 of them together. This will not be up 100% of the time. However, this is still a damage boost, and it gives you Warcry speed, and we are able to double dip on increased damage on using Warcries. Okay. Now, one thing you can do is you can take the empowered attacks, which I have taken. You can remove these 4 points, and you can put them down here. You can come down here and spec into Warcry speed, cooldown, Warcry speed, right? And also take these 4 nodes. This will give you Warcry speed and cooldown, but it will also recover 2% of max life and mana when you use a Warcry. We are using 3 different Warcries all the time, so we're constantly recovering 2% max life and mana all the time, right? So you can do it this way where you're just accepting the damage bonuses when you use them and gaining the resources, or you can take those 4 points and put them into additional empowers. You can split it if you want. You could do these 2 here for a chance for 3, and you can just come down here, grab Warcry speed and cooldown. You could mix and match this however you like. However, I have opted to go ahead and take the guaranteed additional empower for now, just for the additional DPS. If I have life and mana issues, we will spec down this way. But that is the inspirational version of the build with Ferocious Roar. So you have 3 different ways that you can build this, guys. There is a first version with Mana Remnants, which is very comfy. It's very good. It's the version I was using in the clip of the video that you saw. It'll be the version of the clip of the video that I leave at the end of the video. It is very, very good. If you want to go into a more complex and higher DPS version of the build, but it is harder to play because it is more managing war cries, you do have these options as well. And I don't think I have any changed gear. I don't, except for the Megalomaniac. I have been getting a lot of questions about what Megalomaniac to put here. There are many, many different options you could put here, right? Like, the like the best one would be something like this, where if you could get, you know, heavy frost, right? Like, um, not heavy contact. If you could get something like, this would be like the Exodia, right? Like heavy frost, honorless, and like, let's say, like mystical rage, right? Like if you could get like these three, you could anoint something really different and comfy for the build. Like, um, I don't know, anything that you wanted, but this would be like the Exodia Megalomaniac Diamond. But you have three anoints you can choose from, so you can put a great many things here, right? Like there are so many different options. You could go thin ice here as well, you know? So anything that has to do with the build itself, like you can grab, I think, can we anoint this? Yeah, Spirit of the Bear. Absolutely fantastic. If you can get that on your Megalomaniac as well, right? Spirit. Let's see. Is it available? Spirit of the Bear. Yeah. So basically a Megalomaniac, it takes any notable. It gives you just notables. So if there is a notable that will work in the build, right? Like Spirit of the Wolf, Spirit of the Bear, right? Like Hide of the Bear. There are many, many options you can take with the build in your face. You know, these are all great options to put on your Megalomaniac. Um, if you have something that fits the build, then great. Just use it. There is no like right or wrong answer here. Like anything that goes into the build, it will work just fine. All right. Even if you have just two, like mine is only two. My Megalomaniac is a two allocated Megalomaniac. It does not have a basement. It just has Exploit and Stormbreaker. This just will not let me. I would have to edit my Megalomaniac. The It's not letting me just do only two. But anyway, guys, that is the build. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. The Shaman is insane. There are so many people saying how bad it is. It is so not bad. The DPS is actually insanely higher than the Oracle. It's crazy good. It's actually fairly like it's not as tanky as the Oracle. However, the adaptations are actually quite amazing. These the reactive growth and adaptations, I feel really tanky. I am never in danger. So they are working. Um, anyway, guys, if you want to be a shaman, if you want to be a strong werewolf shaman, follow this and you will become insanely strong. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good one. Peace. Bro, I'm in love with this shaman. This shaman is fan fucking tastic, dude. Holy shit. Like, I'm going against evasive monsters, and the setup just has no problem with it. Even the armor explosion is hitting. Bro, what is happening? Why is the shaman so fucking strong?